Alrighty, welcome to Can I Talk for a Second with Mom and Dad. I'm Samantha,
I'm Jerry.
and as you can guess, this is our first episode. So we took a little bit of a break from podcasting, but now we are back. So we just wanted to say what up and kind of let you guys know what you can expect from us. And I'm going to take these off because I'm not working at LaGuardia Airport right now.
Yeah, so definitely welcome to um, the first ever little digest we're going to give to you guys a little bit and explain more or less, what you guys can expect from us.
And we have our, I don't know if you guys can see our fuzzy table ornament and our producer, who is also the reason that we're able to do this podcast. So, yeah, so she's in the background. So, we told you who we are, but how did we get here, essentially? So, I'll let you take a stab at that first.
Yeah, I guess how we got here was, going through high school and becoming young parents.
Teen parents.
Teen parents.
We were the OG teen parents. I think in our high school class, we were probably the first like people to like pop out a kid, which is like by no means a fucking badge of honor, but it led to a lot of things, like a lot of growth and opportunities and things. So I guess we can start with how many years we've known each other.
Wow, I think we're well over 20 now.
I think we're about to hit 20. Yeah,
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
next
yeah.
year will be 20 years that
Yeah.
we know each other. Ava's like making a face. Yeah, she's gonna be 15. So yeah.
So it's definitely over 20 then.
It's got to be. I was a sophomore, or I was a freshman in high school, and you were a sophomore because you were a year
Yeah.
ahead of me. So
Yeah, so I definitely want to say, so it's definitely within 21, 22. That would be the range
21.
for us.
I can't take anything seriously. Yeah, definitely that many years, and I say this to Ava all the time. Like it's like pretty rare that like teen parents or kids born to parents as young as we were, that both parents are still like active and around in the kid's life.
Yeah, I definitely think, there is a cultural between the two cultural differences and stuff like that. And also just growing up as well. Just,
Yeah,
um, like, especially with Spanish, it's more like family. Even though, like, in our situation it's more like everybody's like against each other. It's like, oh, we're you guys aren't together, so it's almost like it's like a big
yeah,
fight
it's
kind of
it's
thing.
easy
But
to kind of just ostracize the other parent, and even like when you grow up in like a traditional household, having a kid as a teenager, like fresh out of high school, and then like not marrying the person or even trying to like move in together or any of that stuff is like well, what was the point? So
no,
but also that's like one of the things on the list. So I made a list of things like to kind of go through because I know that there will be questions because this is weird. Anybody who knows Jerry and I, Ava's like very fucking weird. Ava's gonna be the only high school freshman to say that her not together parents have a podcast, which might get you some like legit credit, but whatever. But anybody who knows Jerry and I, like from back in the day, or even when Ava was very small, this is like left field because anybody who witnessed that or was part of that or tried to help mediate that would be like, "Oh, you guys can sit in the same room together. That's cool. Like that's good.
yeah,
Like that's impressive. We're here for that."
yeah, no, I definitely get a lot, like, just even friends, like, oh wow, you're cool with, your daughter's mom, like, of course they use the term baby mama, but
I mean, whatever, it is what it is. And it makes me laugh that people get so mad at that. I'm like, what else would you call me? Like, I'm not your ex-wife. Like what else? What am I? I am your baby's mother. Now you're like, I'm teen mom? Like, doesn't make any sense.
no, I
Like,
think
it is what it is. Like, your child's mother. That, like, just sounds so archaic.
it does. It does. It sounds almost like,
This is my child's mother. Like,
yeah, like
like
we're
this is my
trying to
baby
be too
mom's.
formal.
Yeah,
Almost.
like, this is my baby
Yeah.
mom's.
So I think definitely it's a good thing. A lot of people who do know too knew that there was a certain amount of aggression between, I guess, both sides. So it's
A
actually
bit.
pretty good that we can come together like this, and and put that out there too, that we are like
It's an
cool.
unconventional I think that like would be the tagline for the podcast, an unconventional take on co-parenting. Because usually, like, and you look at people around us, like when you co-parent, typically it's just, this is your time. Like, I'll drop you off in a parking lot. Your dad will pick you up. I drive off. He drives off. And like, I'm really only texting or talking to you, like, if something catastrophic happens. Like, I'm not, like, there's no communication outside of like, this is your weekend. I'll be there at 6. That's it. Like, there's none of that. There's no like, here's her report card, like, this is happening, come to a barbecue, like, there's none of that. And I think there's like I don't know if there's like a taboo or like a weird, because like that's another thing, that's because we're both not dating any other people, and we're not dating each other, just to clarify that. We are not dating each other. We do not want to date each other. Just to clarify that, and I will refer to this first episode in further podcasts and be like, please refer to episode 1's Q&A. That ship sailed and sunk while it was on fire. So it's not the Titanic. We're not going to the bottom of the ocean to resurrect it. But knowing that like we can get along, because even when we weren't together, we were always friends. Like, we were friends first.
Yeah, it was always friends first. That's why I said it was also like really good how we, even going through our emotions when she was first born and everything, and just relationship wise, we were able to kind of keep her away from that, kind of separate the
The animosity,
relationships,
yeah, because I mean,
weird emotional side.
yeah, and
to the
that's
parent,
really
parental
hard to do, and it's hard to do as an adult, like at our age now, and it's even harder to do when you're like 19, because I was 18, turning 19 when she was born, and you were already 19,
side. Yeah,
and you're teenagers. Like, I was 3 months out of high school when I found out that I was pregnant with her, and I think you were riding a Razor scooter. When we came back from the doctor, my mom, and we told you that, well, my mom just looked at you like she wanted to run you over with the minivan. But when we like sat down and we were like, yeah, so this is happening, like, you were like gingerly riding a Razor scooter, and I was like, I have to tell you something. And you were like, what? And I was like, we fucked up. And it was like, what? And it was like just a slap of reality. Like, I remember my mom being like, you guys have to like make a decision. Like,
yeah,
you guys need to sit down and make a decision.
100%. I think I definitely remember the emotion when you told me, was like just the way I felt was like, hold on, I can't even take care of myself. I got to take care of a whole human being. And then just hearing the words come out of your mouth, being a 19-year-old, was like, my whole stomach turned into like an endless pit.
It
So I
just
was
fell
like,
straight out of my ass. And imagine being like, you were waiting at my house when I went to the doctor, but I was like in the room, obviously, because I was the one at the doctor, but I was in the room when the doctor came back in, and she's like, congratulations, you're 3.5 months pregnant. And I was like, bitch, what? I was like, I'm here to refill my birth control. What the fuck are you talking about? And she's like, yeah. She's like, do you want the room to tell your mom? And I was like, you're going to tell her, actually. I'm not telling her anything.
I think that, yeah, because it almost feels like it's gonna be like a murder scene. Like, even when,
I knew it was going to be a murder scene. Like, we had, I mean, even before Ava was born, we got into our fair share of trouble. Like,
oh yeah, of course,
like, high school, well, we had fun in high school, but our parents did not. Like, high school was fun for us, for our parents. We should have like them on as a segment, like just
oh
a
my
quick
gosh,
round table
yeah.
session. Or even when they were at my parents' house for the barbecue, it was like, I think your mom said to mine, like, isn't it crazy to think like 20 years later, like, we're here and not like chasing them down and like they're cutting
Oh my
school and
gosh,
whatever. Like,
yeah.
it's a long road. Like, before Ava, after Ava, like, she's obviously, sitting right over there making fucking noise. But it's been a long time coming, and like, as we've grown as people, and we've spent, you spent a chunk of time in Texas, and you just kind of like grow, and like you have like like a general idea of like, hey, we could make money off of this.
Well, yeah, no, of course. Like, and also too, there may be, people out there with questions and want to find a way to kind of make a relationship like what we have, like a co-parenting, better for them and their kids and stuff like that. So I think bringing this to the table for them, and answering some of their questions, and sharing some of our experiences, may help them, because sometimes you don't always see it the best way possible, especially like when you have a kid involved, finances are
Yeah,
involved,
and or that, or you have like your family in your ear being like, I mean, because I mean, I hear it all the time, like family members that are like, "That's weird," and I'm like, "But it's not though, because it's not inappropriate, and it's not like there's no ill intent. Like we're not, because at one point we were both in relationships with other people, and there was never like I don't have anything like this is my kid's father. Like I don't have anything to hide from it, and like it is what it is. Like you and our both of our significant others at the time were part of those conversations. They were around. Like we went out
oh yeah,
with her all together.
of course,
So it was never like you guys can't come or like secret like closed door conversations. It was like, who are you on the phone with? Oh, Jerry, what up, Jerry? Like it was never. It's
oh
not
yeah.
weird, and I think that also speaks to how you carry yourself too. Like there's just a mutual level of respect.
Yeah, I think people feel like there's like, I guess like a fine line or a very thin line in between, I guess how you do things and what you do when it comes to co-parenting and stuff like that. But more, the more I guess you become comfortable with each other in this dynamic, it kind of gives that child more people that loves them and helps them raise, your kid, not necessarily directly raised, but, like they always say, it takes a village.
It 100% takes a village, and that's like another thing. Like we had her so young that we heavily relied on both sets of grandparents to help, like with obviously with financial, because I don't know if I had a job when I did have like a part-time job, and like we were like, there's no way either one of us are supporting like a whole child on part-time. Like at that point, minimum wage was like $8, and it was like almost impossible. So it does very much take a village, but it also takes like a mindset of like, no matter how angry I am at you or how I feel about you or the way our relationship ended, like I'm not gonna take it out on her and not let you be around. Like, because while you were living in Texas, that was like around the time we had broken up, and I flew her to Texas several summers in a
Yeah,
row, just like against like every part of me was like fuck him and I'm not going, and if he wants to see her he can. I'm not getting on that fucking airplane. But it was like she hadn't seen you since probably the Christmas before, and I think our parents took turns like flying us out
yeah,
there. But it was like I want her to see her dad, so for like 4 or 5 days we flew down there, and I think we stayed in a hotel, like the base hotel,
yeah.
and made it so that you could see her and you could spend time with her, and that she wasn't missing out.
And I think that's very, I think in a way that's very considerate too. Like, and I think that's what needs to happen. I guess at some point one party has to kind of bend to kind of
Extend
like
the
say
olive
like,
branch, yeah,
yeah,
and be
hey,
like, here, hey, this, like, I know shit is not great, but like, we need to do what's best for her. Or like, hey, look, we're both grown now. Like that was a long ass time ago. That was over a decade ago. She was 2 when we like broke up for good.
yeah,
She's 14 now, so that's over a decade ago, and it's like, like let's just do what's in her best interest. It just makes the most sense, and I don't think people. And like you're human, I get it. You have like a feeling of like I spent a lot of time with this person, but it's like I feel like when you're younger, your younger self not like dies, but you become a different person. So the person you were when you were with this other person you had a child with is like finished. So you're like, I don't have that same attachment to that version of myself or that relationship. So
well, yeah,
I
it's
can keep it separate.
kind of like like your Pokemon, kind of like evolve out of that stage of,
Pokemon
yeah, like you evolve out of that stage that
of
that
life,
you are
yeah.
when you're
You
younger,
just kind of like
And I think the thing is, when you're younger, you are more susceptible to get attached
yeah.
to people
You think this is
and
like
things.
everything.
Yeah, so I think that's the number one thing that kind of creates that tension, that aggression. That, yo, listen, I'm gonna make him pay. Like,
Yeah, I'm gonna
like,
get him back. But also, like, then you have this vision, like when you find out you're having a kid with somebody that this is it. Like, society teaches us that you have kids with the person you're gonna stay with, and that like you try and make it work. So you have this like ingrained in your head that you're gonna do this and you're gonna make it work, and then it doesn't, and you can like acknowledge that, and you're like, well, now what the fuck am I supposed to do? Like, how am I supposed to interact with this person that I've spent at that point? What was she? She was 2, so we had been
oh my
almost a
gosh,
decade. It was
yeah,
8 years. Like I spent so much time with this person, but I know it doesn't work, and I know that we're 2 different people, and we don't get along like that. But like, how do I make it so that she doesn't A, see that, and B, like, so that we can be in the same place. Like, perfect example, her graduation was like a month ago.
Oh yeah.
And Gibby, please stop rubbing the laptop, sir. Get down. Thank you. No, get down. But her graduation is a perfect example, I think, because for fifth grade, obviously it was COVID, so there was no graduation. But like that, we could both go to the graduation and sit together, and not be like a weird thing where like either I had to send the ticket with her, or like you like saw me sitting in the bleachers and were like, fuck that, I'm sitting on the other side. Like he's gonna literally
He's gonna.
he's knocking the actual mouse down. And be like, I'm not sitting near her. Fuck that.
No, 100%. I think at the end, I think a lot of people do see like those situations that we go through and these certain events that we have for her, and they at first they take a look at it and it's like, oh no, that's kind of weird, but then it's like, they see the smile on her face and they see that, like we're happy to be at those events,
And it's not
and
miserable.
it kind of like, I'm not gonna say it shifts their whole mentality, but it kind of makes them happy for her, like that she can have that kind of support. And to me, it's more about her than
Yeah,
any
it's
one of us.
all of it is for her. So,
So
like, it's back to what I was originally saying. Like most teen, like people who had kids our age, the dad's not around, and if they are, it's super scarce, or it's a grandma that's around and dad pops in and out. Like just the fact that I can go into your parents' house and your mom will fix me a plate, and you can come into my parents' house for barbecues and things like that is like usually there's like just a split, like keep them away, like that's just the child's mother, like that was a mistake you made when you were 19, now you gotta live with it type of thing. Like it's just it's she has like a blended family. It's like, yeah, invite your dad's parents, invite your mom, it's fine. So it's like, but then people see it and they're like, something weird's going on there, and immediately the question I get asked the most is, are you sleeping with him? And it's like,
yeah, I think that's like
no.
that's like the question that like always hits. It's always like, so like, are you like with her but like not with her? So like you like secretly with her, and it's like, no.
Like that's not, but think about the way the culture of like, I want to call it baby mama culture, but like I think about all the like the shit you see on like social media, like it's just so common, and I think it's more common when the kids are little, because like it's fresh. But like this one is like almost fully fucking evolved. Like it's almost,
she's about to reach the last stage.
yeah.
In a
Like
few
this one is
years,
already grown like that. I could have seen that question like when she was like in kindergarten.
Yeah,
But
I
like
mean,
not while she's in high school.
listen,
Like that's some sitcom shit. But like that, I think that's just like the way society thinks, is that if you don't hate each other and you're not together and you have a kid, then and you can get along, then you must be sleeping together. And it's like, no, that would be weird.
and it's actually like, like you would think in a way like, it's almost like the setup is real, like, like even like coming here and shooting the shit, dropping her off, shooting the shit real quick, and then, you know, leaving. But then when you look at the time, it's like, oh my God, we've talked for so long. But it's like, I think people don't understand that, like, like there are things to talk about. And then, like, maybe, listen, I may have a question about something that you could give me advice on. Hey, yo, listen, I got a little Valentine's Day thing coming up. What do you think I should do?
Yeah, and
You
then,
know, and
but I think I was talking to Rosalie about it. We had like a girls' night or whatever. And we were talking about something, and I was like, yeah, and I was like, I was talking to Jerry about this the other day, and they were like, you were talking to Jerry about that, and I'm like, yeah, why? I was like, we were just bullshitting and whatever, and they were like, Jerry, and I was like, yeah, I'm like, because like I love you guys, but like sometimes you want a male perspective of like
100%.
like what like is this like why do men do this, and it's like well, and then because girls like women's first thing's like fuck him, like like whatever,
No,
but like to
100%.
understand like the thought process behind it is like whatever, or like hey, like I want to do like this, like how does that optically look, like it's just, but again that goes back to like if you before you have kids with anybody, before you like you have to be friends with that person first. The foundation of anything is friendship.
Yeah, I definitely think like that is very true. The friendship has to be there. You have to have that concrete, like, weathered down. And, it's like, okay, I know that, what this person, no matter what's going to happen in life or whatever, like, what this person's always going to have my back.
Yeah,
Like,
they're always
you
gonna be
know,
my friend. Like beyond anything else. And like, yeah, of course, like when we broke up, did I want to be your friend? No. I was like, I hope that like that fucking TikTok sound. I hope you flip your bike over and knock your two front teeth out, you selfish son of a bitch. Like that's, but then like I said, that's a growth mindset of like, okay, I'm gonna separate that piece out, and at that point, it's like I'm gonna do just enough to make sure that we can like exist and like parent her, and then like over time it like you're eventually like okay like things are cool, we're not fighting, like we're not going like I remember one of the times we went down to family court like for the child support order, and we walked into the courtroom together like bullshitting, and the bailiff was like
yeah. See,
the
and
bailiff was like, what are you doing? And it was like well like I don't know if it was like our families that pushed us to like get that just in writing, and
I
or
think
it might have been the
like,
army that pushed for that. I think that it had to be like on paper or whatever
well,
the
yeah,
fuck it was.
because nobody. I guess at the end of the day, though, everybody will say like, this is looking out for you, making sure that you don't, get, I guess, screwed over or anything. But I think that we had like that, like you said, that solid foundation that like at that point it didn't really like we didn't have to go there, but
It just
listen,
made
okay, it's
sense.
on paper. Let
I
it
think
let it
that's also
roll
where
out.
because of
And
because when you filled out Ava's birth certificate and it said put your date of birth, you put that day's date, and it screwed up getting the birth certificate properly. So every time I would get the paper and it was like this is incorrect, and then you left and I couldn't get it. Like we had to go down to court and you had to be like in front of a judge, and be like this is my child. Because the directions clearly said, "What is your date of birth?" And this man puts 3/13/2009, and they're
well,
like, "No,
listen,
wrong."
I feel like even though listen, I may need a translator to sign these forms.
I
Like I don't know.
translate. It said father's date of birth. It's like, well, today's the 13th, 3/13, and like I didn't reread it either, and I just like handed it in, and I got this paperback that was like, yeah, the birth certificate's invalid, and I was like, well, I birthed her, so it can't be that invalid. And I was like, also, what you had to like certify paternity, I think, at that hearing, but it's like we walked in and we were like sitting in like the little holding area together, and the bailiff like let us in, and he was like, "What the
I
fuck are
did,
y'all doing?"
yeah, I did, yeah. It was funny for us,
Because
but for them,
the
they're
bailiffs
like,
probably used to like keeping people separated because they're fighting and they're like nasty or whatever, and I was just like, and I think we like walked the same way, and the bailiff's like, nah, my man, you gotta go sit on that side, and we were like, okay, and then we were like, you wanna go get Shake Shack, and they were like, what? Like, why are you even sitting here? I'm like, it's just easier to have shit on paper, and to this day, that was like, I don't know, like 6-7 years ago, I think the last time we went down there, and that
Oh,
order is
yeah.
still on paper. Like it's whatever, it is what it is, but it works. And it's like
100%.
usually, again, that's another thing. Usually, like when the baby mom goes down and files for child support, the dad is pissed and he's like, "Fuck that bitch," and he'll like work under the table for the rest of his life or like
Oh, yeah,
fight it
that-
100%. And
yeah.
it was like whatever, it is what it is.
And I feel like that's what most people should do, and that's on both sides of the audience. Males and females. Should kind of be like, yo, listen, like let's kind of see what can we do for this kid. Where listen, yeah, I'm not killing you, you're not killing me. In any shape or form, emotionally, physically.
Yeah, like I'm not
financially,
leaving you
like,
out to dry, but I think
yeah.
it also protects you to have like for you to have it on paper, for me to have it on paper. He didn't unplug it. He's good. The cat is he's a really bad guest for the podcast studio. But I think it's good to have it on paper regardless, just to have it like written down that like everything's together. Because then think about it, if you were paying me cash all these years and I could be like, I didn't get a dime,
100%.
I got nothing, and then
that would
like
be the work
judges,
of the devil.
yeah, and then but like 10 years ago, I would have been like, well, guess what, buddy? I'm going down to all my Stop and Shop receipts and my fucking all of that.
What's
Oh.
going on there?
Oh, I don't want to use that. I do not want to use that.
Oh, okay.
It's my iPhone. It does that sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
So when I integrated, just like as a fun fact for anybody who has like an Apple house, when you integrate all your Apple ecosystem things, don't allow the computer and the iPad to use your phone microphone because it will always do that anytime you wake up your iPhone.
Okay,
So
that's interesting.
It will also do it to the TV. So don't, yeah. The Apple ecosystem's an interesting one. So,
That's very,
just like
very
fun Apple
very-
fact there because it's a pain in my ass.
Which she did put me onto Apple. So
Yes, I forget. I think you're. I don't
Oh
remember
my
what.
God, it was my 20. It was my 2008 MacBook Pro.
I got that. I got my 2008 MacBook. I got
Yeah.
the matte black one when I just before I found out I was pregnant with her because there was no way I was getting a MacBook after getting knocked up at 18. So it had to be before I knew I was
No, yeah,
having
that's why I said I
her.
think it was either like 2008, 2007. You got it, and I was
Right
like,
before college because
yeah,
we graduated in June of 2008, and I got that MacBook in like August because
that's
we
what I
went
was
to the
saying. It
Apple
had to
store.
be,
I
yeah.
had gone to John Jay. I got my student ID, and then I went down to the Apple. I think we went to Staten Island Apple Store actually, and I got the MacBook, and then like a month later, I found out I was pregnant with Ava on my parents' wedding anniversary. It was my parents' wedding anniversary, and
Surprise.
yeah, surprise. And I was like, well, this is some timing.
And I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of jealous at the time because your MacBook was like souped up. It had
It was
like
my
mad
mom thought I was
specs.
gonna be an astronaut.
It was like
Like
everything was to the
like
T.
George thought I was going to the moon with that shit, and then I was like, actually, Teen Parenthood is the route we're gonna go with this. And she was like,
Well, I mean, which the timing that you got yours was actually pretty good because I was able to still squeeze in time for me to get mine because I was like,
it was a
that's I
narrow. Well,
literally
because you
had
didn't
got
tell your
mine.
parents right away. My
No.
parents had to like threaten your life to go and tell your mom. It was like a month went by
Oh
before.
yeah,
Actually, it was around your birthday that they were finally like, if you don't go home and tell them, we're pulling up.
because I was scared, like especially my mom. She's, literally like, both. It's honestly weird because your mom's like tall and angry, and my mom is like short and angry. So it's like,
It's like both a double lose there.
yeah. So I
But
was like,
like obviously they knew, and that was we were eating McDonald's, and my mom was like, "What do you have to tell your dad?" And I was like, "So how's the weather? How's your Big Mac? Is it good?" But I said it, and he just kept chewing the Big Mac, like he kept
it was like
eating,
the process of the chewing
and
the
then he
Big
just like
Mac.
put
It
the
was
Big
like,
Mac down, and I was like, "Oh boy."
that's it.
Yeah.
Like on like the last few bites.
Yeah, it was like, I'm just gonna enjoy the last few bites of this hamburger because you just ruined my meal.
yeah.
These fries are gonna get cold. Thank you very much. And it was like, well, I'm sorry, but like, how she made me tell you, I would have
I
just.
wouldn't have said anything. I
I
would
feel
have just
like you
kept it
wouldn't
to
have
myself.
noticed when I brought the baby home. You might have noticed, like at some point, but I feel like you probably wouldn't have. He still gets me and my sister confused. So like, I feel like you might have only noticed when I brought it home.
Yeah, and I think honestly, now with this disclaimer, not telling anybody to go be teen parents, I just think
No,
that
we're not.
uh, I, I, I
Yeah, no,
think
I don't care what anybody said or what they did for you're going.
Hypocritical.
It's extremely hypocritical, but I'm going to give you the incentive to not do it. Also, baby crying upset me, so.
so. I definitely think after all of everything that we went through with that being so young and being kids having a kid, I think we turned out pretty everything turned out pretty good at the
Yeah,
end.
I think it went better than most
and I-
experiences go.
And one thing I do want to say is thank you so much to the grandparents on both sides because they really stepped up. Even with all the stuff going on mentally and,
Or how
and
angry
them,
they were at us.
angry.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, they were mad at us.
They really
They were,
came through. And
yeah. Even today, they still do like
Oh
stuff.
yeah,
I mean, she was like the
100%.
first one, but it's like, it just, but I think that they only did what they did because we weren't deadbeats. Like, we weren't,
Willing
like
to give
just,
up,
yeah,
yeah.
we didn't give up. Like, I kept going back to school. Like, I was working multiple jobs. Like, I was making shit happen. And then, like, even when you weren't here, I was still like, you need to go see your grandparents. Like, we're going to go see, we're going to go see Grandma Martha. Like, let's go.
And that's
Like, we
when-
weren't just, neither one of us just up and disappeared, leaving.
No,
Like, I didn't just, like, disappear and leave her with my, and just
No,
move to
yeah.
another state and whatever. And, like,
And that's one thing, like my parents always, like they'll say, like you always did bring her around and kept her, kept them in the loop with her and stuff like that. And listen, while you were raising her and doing your thing back here, it was like, listen, working at Applebee's wasn't cutting it, so I was like, yeah, listen, I gotta sign up with Uncle
I
Sam.
remember when you were like, I got fired, and I was like, why? You're like, I was sleeping in the stock room, and I was like, perfect, great. Like, but that's, it's like, but even then, it was just like, how do you navigate? Like, I'm now mad at you because, like, now I'm gonna get hounded because I don't have money to give, to put towards whatever. So it's like all of those things, all those years. Even when you came back, it was like, I don't know. I'm like, I don't know if I fuck with you. Like, I don't
Yeah.
know. Like, are you gonna disappear again? It's like, because I already put all the time and effort into this creature that I've got here. And, like, you're not gonna come and fuck it up because, like, we've got a, like a,
Good system
yeah, we've got a
going
good
already.
system, and like she functions well. She's like pretty, much
Yeah.
adjusted. And then you're gonna come and like fuck it all up. I was like, I don't know if we fuck with that.
Yeah, I did. I think that is like, one of the things too, because it's like, especially like being the dad, it's always like you're seen as like the party parent. Like no matter what you do.
Well, yeah,
You,
it's totally different, and that's actually another thing. It's like what. How would you describe yourself as a parent? And also it's different for you because I'm like all by all intents and purposes like a single. Like I only have one. Like I went and had my tubes vacuumed out of my body. I have one, and I will forever only have one. You've got two.
yeah.
So it's a different experience for you. Like you had her when we were 19, and then you had your second when we were, or when you, I didn't have anything. I sniffed her. I didn't have anything. When you were what, 31?
Yeah. Duh, yeah. No. Yeah.
No, you were 32. You had just
32,
turned 32
yeah.
because she was
Yeah.
born in November. So it's different for you.
So I think I would say, and of course Ava's right here, so I would say my parenting style is more relaxed. I would say it's more lenient
I love it way more.
because
To free for all.
I want her, and I've always told her this even when she was younger. Like, I want her to be respectful, but I don't want her to be like when I grew up with my parents. I was always like submitting. I was submissive.
Well, because it was a different, it was a cultural thing, but also like like we said the other day, a generational thing. Like
Yeah.
it was unheard of for you to like do anything with your parents besides like eat dinner and like cross each other in the hallway.
Yeah, and I want her to become her own person. Just become your own person without being an asshole. Like like do the right things,
Yeah, be a
but
good
then
person.
then you can be who you want to be. Like that's my I guess my way of looking at it is like, yes, do I want you to like certain things that you like? Do I want you to do the things you want to do in life? Yes, but there's also a right way to go about.
Yeah, there's a
just
right way to
being-
like doing life.
Yeah,
essentially.
doing this stuff.
So yeah, I'm definitely more
Intense.
and yeah, I'm more like order and boundaries because like I'm with her all the time, but also like as a mom of a teenage girl and the mom of a teenager remembering how I was as a teenager, I'm like, nah, I'm like there's two generations between me and my parents. There's one between me and her. So it's like I know the bullshit. So and
Yeah.
it's like I want you to be able to like have fun and do the shit that I wasn't allowed to do. Hello, buddy. But like I'm also not like I was born at night, but not last night. So like you're not gonna play the game. But also like it's my job to keep you safe. So like that might look like I'm doing the most, but like I know the worst of like what's out there in the world. So like
100%.
I'm gonna like, and you're with me most of the time. So like I'm gonna have to like lay the law down sometimes, and that might look shitty and you might hate it, but like I know you're safe. One and two of them can do other like fun shit. Like I've taken her to like 4 concerts now. So like I never did anything like that with my mom.
No, 100%.
Yeah.
Listen, we're getting ready to see Big Blue soon. Training camp is almost done.
Yeah, like
So-
I didn't get to do any of that stuff. Like could
That's
you
what I
imagine
say.
like going to a concert and like raging out with your mom?
No.
Like could you I could never have like what was I gonna go see with my mom that we both listened to at the same
That's what I was
time?
gonna say. Maybe like if we went to like a Mark Antonio Solis or something.
And like what was I gonna go watch the Bee
Neil
Gees? Like what was I
Diamond.
going to see with them? So it's like yeah, I'm like but even like just to think like 10 years ago, like, or not even, how many years ago did Ariana Grande go on tour? And I was still working at H&R Block, and I just could not. The tickets were like, they were stupid. 4 or 5 years. It had to be more because it had to be like 5 or 6 years ago. And she wanted to go, and I looked at the prices, and I was like, there's just no way for me to make this work. Like, there's nothing I could even do to move the money around to make this work. And this time, and even when we went to Post Malone, I was like, you want to go? And she was like, yeah. And I was like, boom, done on Ticketmaster. Where like years ago, I'd have been like, we could sit in the parking lot and like listen, But like that's it.
I think it's like, and I've mentioned this to her before too. I think the things that we keep close to us is where we used to be. It's like, I remember that same exact time that you're talking about when I got fired from Applebee's, and I was making. Oh no, I filed for unemployment, and I got unemployment.
It was like
And it
$70
was-
a week. It's
And it
so
was like
bad.
literally like I could only like help you with like the one pack of diapers and a wipe.
Yeah, because it was a joke. Like
and
it
I
was,
couldn't even afford Chinese food. So it's like you
and,
get
and
to
Chinese
these
food back then was like
points.
$7 for like a combo plate.
Yeah,
Like, it
it
was
was
it
like-
was
it was-
bad.
it was-
Yes, I was working seasonally. I worked in the summertime only because my mom was working like opposite me during
Yeah.
tax season, so I could really only work heavy hours like in the summer, and I'd work all summer, and the entire summer, no matter how many hours I worked, I made like $3,000, and I'm like, what am I doing with this?
Yeah, no, 100%.
Like, there's nothing I could do with this.
So now it's like, you get to this point in life where you can like do a good amount of things with her where we both can. So it's like I always think that we, once we get to like even just spending money and doing what we do, to provide her with a good time and things that she needs, is we always go back and remember where we were.
Yeah,
like,
where we came from. That's like a
like-
huge thing. Like where we started. Like we started from the bottom, and now we're here.
Yeah, 100%. Listen, we got there's 3 cats in here plus her, so you listen. You
Yeah,
guys at the
yeah.
top.
So
can-
I stopped having kids, but I kept collecting cats. So there's this guy, and then there's the
And-
two
and
the
then
two spooky cats upstairs.
some way, shape, or form that transferred to me, but I only have one, so
Just
I'm
one.
good with one.
Well, but that didn't directly happen of your own accord. That was like
That was like from everywhere. Like
that was
that came from like
that
different
was,
areas.
Yes, it was.
It was all
that
like
was after like a trip to the cat cafe. I
yeah,
apologize for that, but it was a good time. So you got a cat.
yeah. Thor is amazing at being Thor. He's just
He's not with the shits in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah,
He is like
no.
her cat Batman who wants no parts of the human race.
listen,
He's like, you feed me and you make sure I have water, but like, please don't touch me. Don't get too close. Like, just on my terms, please.
Yeah, he's like, yeah,
and this
listen.
guy is like, if you don't look at me enough, I'm gonna knock your entire computer down.
Yeah,
So
listen, I'll destroy the podcast.
I'll
so
destroy this
so
whole.
I get some
I'll
attention.
destroy this whole shit if you don't fucking pet me. And it's like, all right, cat, I'm sorry, bro. Like, my freaking bad. So, and I think we pretty much covered all of those things. But like, basically, yeah, like this is kind of like what you can expect. I put what you can expect. That's not English. But like but like that's like the the vibe, like the gist of it, and we are both gamers. Well, he's more of a gamer. I hold the controller and I know what I'm doing sometimes, but also get yelled at by the
Not
child.
by me though.
by the child, because I like to play it like safe. Like I'm a little bit of like a bush camper and like wait for the storm circle to close, and she's like a run directly into the danger, and before I can even switch a weapon, we're dead. So in addition to our podcast, which will like drop every other week, we're also gonna do a Fortnite stream, because back in the day we used to play Halo 3, and that was the jam.
That's amazing.
I rage quit sometimes because it gets aggravating, because I play with somebody who does this essentially for a living, and I get into a lobby with the world elite players, and I like set my feet on the ground and I'm dead, and I'm like, what in God's name? So I get like
Listen,
game after game.
Number
Like
one rule of being a gamer is you don't go to sleep without a W. You
I
gotta go to sleep
would
with a
never
W.
sleep, because there have been many nights that I'd be up for days. I would need I'd either need like a lot of Red Bull or like I don't know, like a couple monster drinks, like a line of cocaine, something, because some nights we'll be playing for like 2 hours, like me, her, and Daya, my sister-in-law, and I'm like, guys, we've been at this for 3 fucking hours. We suck. Let's just get the fuck off of this thing. Like, I'm done. We'll try again tomorrow. And she's like, it's only midnight. Let's keep playing. And I'm like my sister texts me and she's like, are you playing Fortnite with Ava? And I'm like, yeah, why? She's like, she's up in her room yelling. And I'm like, because we keep losing.
Because it's always dishonor and quitting.
The game finishes, like I die, like it says you've placed number 46 or whatever the fuck it is, but then it's like I've had enough. We're going to go back to the lobby, we're going to regroup ourselves, and then we're going to try again.
Listen, you can have 46 losses.
I don't.
But that one win that you go to sleep with
I don't.
is
I just
the
go
most
to sleep.
refreshing.
Fuck
it's
the
like,
boomerang that I make with the dub. I want to go to bed. Like,
it's definitely
fuck
refreshing.
the dub boomerang. I just want to go to sleep. So in addition to podcasting, which is like more of like where like what my creative like thought was, we're also gonna do a Fortnite live stream on, what is it, Twitch?
On Twitch.
On Twitch. So that's.
We'll put the link
We'll put the link. We'll link everything down below. So we're gonna do that every other week. So we're gonna have a podcast one week and a stream the next week. So definitely check us out there.
Yes.
There'll be lots of commentary, lots of roasting, potentially some rage quitting, maybe a guest appearance by the small human.
Yeah.
Maybe. So we'll see. But we got a lot of stuff coming up. Like, we're going to keep this stream going. We might actually have the small human on camera one day.
Yeah. That'd be interesting.
That would be interesting. Like an Ava's point of view. Ava's Corner, we could call it. Ooh,
Ava's Corner.
Ava's Corner.
That's what we're going to do.
Yeah, okay. We're going to do an Ava's Corner segment. Okay. And then there'll be tons of other content on our channel, like taking her places. Like, we just went to the Drake concert. We saw NF. We've seen Post Malone. They've gone to a bunch of cool... Nicki Minaj. Well, that was like a really long intro plus Nicki Minaj. But they've gone to like the Stranger Things exhibit, Harry Potter. They've done a bunch of cool stuff too. So, you know, all the, you know, plus, you know, sometimes he comes to barbecues at my parents' house. I go eat his parents' potato salad.
Listen, Mr. Jerry's potato salad.
It is iconic. It is iconic. We might get him on the podcast to talk about his potato salad.
Yeah. Listen.
But you know, tons of content coming, like the co-parenting world. So we look forward to sharing that with you guys.
Definitely going to try and touch base on, you know, most of topics that we can cover, or what we can think about to cover. And, you know, hopefully at a later date, you know, maybe we'll have you guys reach out with some questions. But
definitely some Q&A, I think, because a raging teenager, yes. But raising a teenager in today's world by being raised by essentially like two teen parents, because sometimes I really forget that I'm an adult and something will happen and I'm like, fuck, I'm like, yes.
Yeah, I feel
I
feel like you hang out with her, like,
I do.
and then you kind of like,
because like that's
you kind of feel like you're back in that mode.
You do, because you're chilling and you're like, yeah, and then sometimes you're like, fuck, I have to be a grown up about this. Like, I must make grown up decisions, and you're like,
yeah.
One day she'll be like really chill and calm, and the next day she's just like really uptight, and I'm like, I don't.
Don't listen. Like, save all that.
For Ava's Corner. But it's, you know, it's that experience of like, I'm navigating this for the first time, but also like she grew up with us. 100%. So now that we're grown, like it's sharing that experience of watching her grow up is also really cool. So like all the things that we do with her, like, I don't know, I actually think it might have been one of your like girlfriends at the time that was like, she was a baby, she was little, and she was like laying on my lap at home, like at my house in Brooklyn, and we were playing Halo, and she's like, are you playing Halo with your baby mama? And you're like, yeah. And she was like, you're the only parents I know like in the world that play Halo.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, yeah, it is what it is.
Top game.
Yeah, that was like the vibe at the time. But like that type of thing, like now she plays with us. Like, and I always knew she was gonna like fall or like take liking to that because you liked it. So it was like, eventually. Well, I was like, I don't understand. Sometimes I really do feel like my mom on certain things. I don't understand how it works or how it's supposed to be put together, and I get real fucking frustrated, and I'm like, call your father. So.
Yeah, so I think, you know.
We got a lot of good stuff coming up.
Yeah.
So I hope you'll stick with us and check out our channels. I'll link all our socials down below, and we'll see you next time.
Next time.
Peace.